In this video, I'm going to show you all how to do a full timing job on a K20Z3.
First thing you're going to be removing is this bracket right here. First I hit it with some rust penetrant and then took out all the bolts. And then it was time to take out all the timing case cover bolts. Make sure that you also get these three over here that go through the oil pan to the bottom of the case. Also, these two bottom bolts here are bigger than the rest of them, so just make sure they go back in the right place when you put it all back together. Now go ahead and take off the crank bolt. Just make sure you don't lose this little piece here. Now you got to take out the sensor. It's just one bolt holding it in. It's a little tricky to get out. So a trick that I use is putting a flathead behind and prying it out. Now let's take off the valve cover. Start by taking out the coil packs. I already took out the bolts that hold them in off camera. It's just a bunch of 10 mils. Now we're going to remove all these 8 mil acorn nuts. Once all those are out, you can remove the seals. Some of them come out easy. Others, you can use a little flathead to get them out. Now you'll be able to lift off the valve cover. Just make sure you take out the dipstick first. To get the timing case cover off, just pry here and here. Then you'll be able to pull it forward.
Now before you start taking everything apart, what you want to make sure is that your engine's at top dead center. So how you do that is I'd have to put the bolt back in where the crank is, and then I would basically turn it until you can see two holes back here.
And these two holes are meant to lock your cams in place using pins like this. And these two holes are only visible when the engine's at top dead center.
So now I'm going to show you how to get the engine to top dead center. We're going to throw the crank bolt back in, turn it with this, and then I'll show you in the back what the locking pins look like after. Okay, so now we can see these two holes are just about perfectly lined up. So now we can go ahead, grab our pins. Doesn't matter which one, they're both the same size. Slide it on in, and there we go. Our cams are now locked in place. All right, so now let's talk about timing marks. See here that we have two lines pointing at each other, which means that these are in alignment. That's good. So another mark that you're going to be aware of is the one on the crank pulley. In my case, mine's just a little green mark. You're going to make sure that this is pointing upwards.
All right, so let's start with the teardown. First, I'm taking out the tensioner. Then I'm going to take out the top guide. And once that's out, you'll be able to slip off the chain. And then you can go ahead and take out the guide. Ignore the fact that the head is missing. I'm doing a head gasket as well, which has nothing to do with the timing job, so just pretend that the head is here. And once these guides are out, that's all there is left for the teardown, and you can go ahead and start rebuilding. So what I'm doing to start off the rebuild is putting in the top guide and the two bolts, and I'm going to tighten them down but not torque them, just so I can have enough clamping force on the camshafts when I go to rotate them to put them into the top dead center position. Not necessary, but it's a good step. Now that we got all that tightened down but not torqued, I'm going to use this wrench here, 15/16, to move the camshaft so that I can put these pins in the back. The little hex part is by cap number 3. Just because the way I have it positioned now, I'm just going to be moving this away from me. And now that these pins are in the back here, you can see the timing marks are now in alignment, which means we can proceed with putting on the chain. So now I'm just going to quickly take off the top guide, and then I'm going to slip on the chain. We're going to loop the bottom first. Make sure it's on there good. And when you're putting on the chain, you just want to make sure that there's no slack at the top here. So you want to make sure that it's nice and tight all the way around the two tops of the gears here. And the rest of the slack is okay to have right around here, because it's going to be fixed by your guides, your tensioner. Once we've made sure that all the slack in the chain is not at the top anymore, we're going to go ahead and throw on our top guide here. This will make sure that it doesn't come up and move from where it is. Let's get some tension on it. So here's all the parts you'll need for that. Here we've got your tensioner, your guide, and your other guide. Okay, so for the first guide here, and when you're tightening it on, you want to use a size 6 Allen. Make sure it's a bit like this and not an Allen key. That'll strip it. Just going to tighten it down. I'm going to torque everything at the end.
Now we're just gonna put on this guide. This one uses 10 millivolts. And now it's time to throw in the tensioner. When you are installing it, be very careful not to take out this pin. You take out this pin after because it releases the tension.
So you can see here that I'm playing around with this one link here. What I'm trying to do is get out into a tooth that's slightly further down from it. So what I'm gonna end up doing is adjusting the crankshaft back and forth slightly just to get it onto that tooth. And when I say slightly, I mean very little movement, because you still want to make sure that your timing marks are in alignment. And you'll know you did this correctly because when you go to put the tensioner in, it'll only fit when the chain is in the perfect position.
Now when I put the tensioner on, it should want to fit effortlessly. Perfect. So now we know that we have enough slack all around here on this side, and our intake side is now good. So I'm going to slide these in. Sorry if you can't see. I'm going to tighten this one down more than the other ones, just so I can get accurate torque when I go to torque it down. Once I release this pin here, all this extra slack on the exhaust side will be eliminated.
And just like that, you've timed a K-series. So now I'm gonna move on to a couple last steps, starting off with throwing in a Drag Cartel lower timing chain guide.
Now to install it, you're gonna use your pre-existing oil pump chain guide. You're gonna slide it in just like this. When you install it, make sure the guide is facing the chain, and then you're gonna slide it in, down and up, make sure this is all the way forward. Once it's in place, you can grab your bolts. They're an Allen head.
And that's it for the guide. I recommend getting one of these. There's literally no downsides.
And there you go. That's how you do the timing on a K20Z3. Just make sure you take these out the back and you're good to go.